Lars. I'm the president of Franchise Consulting Specialist. I'm here to help you learn all the facts and help you with your due diligence in all your franchising needs. The history of franchising, we'll go by this a little quicker because I know this doesn't interest a lot of people, but it actually is a French word that means freedom. The French subjects were given the privilege of freedom by the king to operate the markets and have fairs and hunt on their land. Franchises were born in the Middle Ages in France. It was modified in the 1800s and reborn after World War II because all the baby boomers needed all these types of products. Franchising actually began in Germany. German ale brewers granted franchises in certain taverns, giving them exclusive right to sell their beers in the 1840s. In the United States, the first one actually was the Singer sewing machines in 1851. I don't know if you remember Singer sewing machines. I actually do. Show you how old I am. But everyone does know the beginning of the craziness of franchising, which began with McDonald's and KFC in the 1950s and early 60s. There was definitely a tremendous growth in hotels and restaurants. But as everything happens in the 1970s, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, had to regulate the industry because of, when you're dealing with money, there's always going to be some bad people out there. So they actually had to step in to control the industry. Facts for the United States: 86% of all franchises opened in the 60 industries in the last 5 years are still in business, compared to that's actually 30% for the independent ones. Over $2 trillion dollars are generated by the franchising industry, and 3,000 different franchise systems and more than 300 franchising industries. Actually, that's starting to become closer to 4,000 now. 1 in 12 businesses are franchises, and 50% of all franchise sales come from. What we are all looking for in business ownership: control of life and destiny, a solution to the inevitable downsizing occurrences. That definitely is happening way too much. Longer term career options, freedom and flexibility, more time for family, friends, the hobbies that we do, and of course the financial short and long terms that we do. Considerations to make when evaluating franchise business ownership: what is your level of passion to be an owner? What are my driving motivations? What's actually making you want to do this? Do I have the right people skills? Is my energy level high enough to do all this? Do I have survival instinct when things can get a little rough? And what are my financial capabilities? Do I have the funds to sustain it? And what are my greatest fears to owning a business? It's funny, I'm reading a book right now called Feel the Fear, but Do It Anyway. Great book. And how will my life be different? And do I have the trusted resources for guidance? The advantages of franchising: a higher degree of success in franchising compared to independence, a proven business plan to follow, experience of the franchisor gives stronger probability of success, the training, the ongoing support, you're buying an established business concept, the research and development is always ongoing, you jump to start to get your business open. There are lower costs that are through group buying power, and marketing advertising programs are always there. If you're doing sales kind of franchise, that custom lead generation is always available through their websites and call centers. You belong to a strong network of peers sharing ideas and best practices. Joint advertising from the cooperatives. No prior experience is ever needed for franchising. They do all the training. You have independence with partnership support, and you can earn an excellent living while building equity. You have the flexibility and freedom you desire. You are the boss. As when you wake up in the morning, there's no one to tell you what to do. You can spend time with your family, friends according to your schedule, and you can build a legacy for your family. Disadvantages, always disadvantages. The initial investment is usually higher compared to when you do it on your own, but there's no guarantee of success. You have a partner, and you may not always agree upon. It means that if they tell you to close your store at 8 p.m., you can't close it at 6 p.m. Because that's what you feel like it. It just doesn't work like that. They have a business model that they follow. You do not have total independence. They do have their business model set up, and you need to follow it if you want to be successful. You may have restrictions on where you do business and products and services you sell. If you have a storefront or whatever, you can't sell anything that you feel like will do well there without talking to people. You will always have paying ongoing fees. There's always that monthly royalty fee that you pay for all the support and everything that's also involved in franchises. And there could be problems in the system that could affect your business, such as, remember the Chipotle issue with the lettuce can bring down things down the pike. And you will sign a binding legal agreement that you are held for. Traits of a successful potential franchise owner. Ordinary people following a dream. A realization of owning a franchise isn't for everyone. Always involving your spouse and partner early in the process. Always is the benefit. Uh, Willing to ask a lot of questions. Something you need to do. Willing to follow a due diligence plan to the end. That's what this whole system that we're doing right now is following a due diligence as much as we possibly can till we get the right answers. Willing to own the due diligence, making sure that you understand everything that's involved here. Willing to move away from your comfort zone, always when opening a business. Willing to let go of preconceived notions. There's always facts involved. And not allowing emotions to control the process. Emotions are not good. Knowledge is definitely better. Belief in themselves and their potentials. You're putting all this money because you are actually putting money down on yourself and your family. An ability to trust facts instead of assumptions. Your brother's cousin's best friend's sister-in-law had a bad experience in that concept, and she doesn't or he doesn't ever want to own that business. It's probably not a good thing to go with. An ability to define their role in a business, knowing what your role and what you plan to do in the business. A willingness to take on a challenge, not in a fear. Fear can be a terrible thing, but it's a natural thing. We all go through it, no matter how many businesses I've owned. There is a stress, fear factor involved. But the more knowledge that you get, the less the fear goes. Two types of fears out there. There's that fear, the good fear, which if you're walking up the side of a building or climbing a tree, you are fearful of falling and killing yourself. And then there's that fear that you don't want to go to that party because you don't know anybody. Totally different types of fear. You need to work through that, as we all do. An ability to acquire the capital funds needed for success, and listening to the expert advisors and experience business ownership. The franchise disclosure document, the FDD, are all created equal. That means that there are 23 items in every FDD. By law, they have to send this to you. I'm not going to go through every item of it, but it basically gives you a brief history of everything on the whole idea. From everywhere, from the franchise agreements, the leasing, financial, to the disclosures of their item 19, which is the claims and statements made by franchise systems. Not all of them, show that, but the majority of them do. Gives a background in the decisiveness of the makers, decision makers of the franchise. And then, of course, the item 23, which is by law, the FDD receipt. This is a document you will need to sign and return. There needs to be a timestamp on there by law. because they are not allowed to sell or nor you are allowed to buy a franchise for 14 days after you sign that. Characteristics of a successful franchisor, which is what we're going to be looking through a lot. And that's a passion for seeing that their franchisees become successful. An emphasis on supporting franchisees, not just selling new franchises. Very important to keep an eye on. A strong culture of success and leadership. A strong value system, doing the right thing for people. Having a unique product or service offering. Demonstrating a proven sales and marketing system for customers acquisitions, providing an effective operation system for the franchisee, financial stability, definitely, having a significant use of understanding of the latest technology, having both short and long-term training and development systems, desire to recruit highly qualified quality franchisees, demonstrating the desire to be on the cutting edge and innovative options of the franchise, and having an attitude of mutual respect with the franchisees. So why does franchisees fail? The number one reason is they don't follow the system. There is a model and needs to be followed because that's what's become successful in their history. They're going into the business undercapitalized. That basically means if you have this certain amount of money, you can't use it all. You need money to live on, and we will discuss that also. There is a marriage issue or health issues out there. They don't ask for assistance from the franchisor. If you don't ask, you don't always get. So it's definitely very important to keep track and use the support of the franchisors. And then they lose total interest in the business and they want out. Can you make a good living out of owning a franchise? Well, the current franchise owners are your best resource. So we will make sure that you get involved with all other franchisees about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And then, of course, in the FDD that we talked about, the item 19 shows some earnings claims. But that's also something that we would need to talk about. The employee versus the employer tax advantages. Many advantages on being a business owner through tax advantages. And making a good living can mean more than money. Is it always about money? Money is definitely very important. Keeps the family going. But you also want that freedom too. So, making $1 million a year and working 24/7 is, you get the $1 million, but you lose your family and friends. So it's a different. You got to think about it. Personal knowledge of business owners in your circle of family and friends, and small business ownership has a stellar track record of strong earnings. Always. I won't go through all the regulation, disclosures, and agreements of the FTC as we talk to the FDD and some of the financials. You can look at this a little later. And what does it cost to own a franchise? Well, typically these are the averages. Many factors determine the cost and the investment. There are low-cost franchises starting at $5,000 online. Buyers beware. All right, you get what you pay for. Remember that. Retail franchises, typically most expensive. Those are the brick and mortar buildings, initial investment, the initial fees, the retail space build out, the inventory, the POS systems, multi-units, upfront marketing, etc. can be very costly. Typically starting around 200,000 and up, and averages about 350. Service, the franchises generally reasonably initial investment, secure territory, office setups, equipment packages, vehicle investments, etc. They typically start around 80,000 to 250,000, which is usually about 150,000. That's with working capital. Investing in a franchise is similar to making other major investments. You get what you pay for. Excuse me. Funding and financial assistance, funding sources, franchise companies, very few of them will finance today. Funding companies, there are several franchise funding companies available. Local banks, very few offer financing for the first-time buyers. They usually don't do startups anymore for whatever reasons. Family and friends, often the best resource to receive funding. The big ones now, funding options are, of course, your SBA, the Small Business Administration, and legally you can roll over your 401k rollover to your business, minimum of 50,000 and up, whatever you have, but it has to be a minimum of 50,000. And then, of course, there's the home equity lines of credit and all that. Most franchises have a veteran discount. Many, offer them anywhere from 10 to 20%. Government assistance, there are very few, if any, government grants programs available out there, but if desired, we can introduce you to funding companies in most funding options. Fees will be required by the funding assistance. Franchise business disciplines, transferable skills. All your skills are out there. They all can be from the legal to administration, customer service, financial, human resources, sales, marketing, operations. They're all in there, all right? The taking a job versus buying a franchise. An employee possibly being laid off from being downsized. Limited earnings potential. Company gets paid a lot, but not you. Job seems to be the most secure choice with a paycheck. Even though I'm not happy, at least my job provides a paycheck. How many times you hear that? It's easy to find a job, but not sure how long it will last. I leave my job or get downsized, maybe I'll get severance pay. And then there's that franchise owner. Control your paycheck and your future. Limitless earnings potential with a wealth building asset. As an owner, you really control your own destiny and paycheck. I love what I do. I'm very fulfilled and I make good money. It may take a few years to build, but I can do this as long as I want. I sell my business and get potentially great returns on my investment. Discouraging facts. I'm not going to go through this too long because I'm in this, before. 3,900 were polled from the AARP and surveyed the people age 45 and older. 61% said there's personally seen and experienced age discrimination. Yes, there is. 29% of job seekers, 55% plus, are considered long-term unemployed, looking for work for 27 weeks or more. 50-plus year old people, despite their experience, are 20% less likely to find a new job than workers at 25 to 34. Still stacks. Statistically, the odds are not your favor to finding a job quickly and replacing your current income. In fact, experts say that you will be job hunting 1 month for every 10,000 of income you are seeking to replace, even longer in a difficult economy. A recent study by the Columbia University said that the people that were laid off who were never caught up in replacing their compensation and lagging behind as much as 20% over 10 years, 15% 15 years, and still behind after 20 years. Following the 2000-2009 recession, the average length of unemployment for those 55 over were 40.6 weeks compared to 31.6 for the younger job searches. Why use franchise consultants? We have most have real world franchise ownership experience. You should always check to make sure that you do. Because of their experience, they can help you avoid making devastating mistakes. There are several details to understand about franchising. They can educate you. Since we know the industry, they can direct you to the most successful opportunities. They can introduce you to honest, knowledgeable advisors. They can offer you professional guidance and career coaching. There is no fee to work with them. They are paid by the franchisor if you purchase one of their recommended franchises. All right, there's not only one or two franchise industries. I'm not going to go through all of them, but as you can see, there's everywhere from automotive to lawn maintenance to moving to painting to storage services to even tree cutting services, food, of course, and home improvement, uh, and many more. All right. Well, that's our steps. We've done the first few, definitely done the franchising. Next step in the process is to complete a confidential questionnaire. Then we develop your profiles to see where your transferable skills are and uh, and your lifestyle and your goals and your needs. Then we're going to present. I'm going to present you some franchising opportunities. We're going to do after that. If you're still liking it and everything, we're going to investigate, do our due diligence as much as we want, as much as you can, to get so you can get the knowledge that you're looking for. Then, of course, if you still like the concepts and you still want to move ahead, you're going to meet the team on Discovery Day. You'll go up there, you'll meet everybody, support teams up there. And once you come back and you still like it, you still see yourself doing it, you're going to sign this, you'll sign the franchise agreement, and then it all begins. Then life becomes real. Franchise training, and then you open your business. Well, that's me. Just to let you know, I have over 35, you could getting close to 40 in owning my own businesses. I've built many businesses from scratch and have been a franchisee and a franchisor. I've been in all your shoes. Stress levels, I understand 100%. I understand the fear that we all going to go through, and hopefully I can help walk you through that. And definitely very transparent, and I definitely am honest with my clients. My goal is to show all as much as I can with you that the law allows me, and definitely going to as much information that makes it feel comfortable for you. All right, I hope to see you soon. We'll talk later. Bye.